Liverpool's unique, vibrant. It lives off its culture, its football, its passion, its personalities. The nature of what Liverpool is all about is almost a bit addictive.
People's lives evolve around Liverpool Football Club, they really do.
It's the centre of the universe as far as I'm concerned.
Liverpool it's in your blood.
This team resembles the city and reflects a city that demands everything out of its players.
Come on, boys, let's go, come on!
It doesn't matter who you are, what job you've got. These are togetherness when you go to Anfield.
It's as if we're all a massive family.
If you walk in the doors at Anfield, you're touched in a different way.
When you get us as a collective in that ground, there's just like one force of nature.
You're walking into somewhere that is steeped in years and years of history, European history, British football history. The Premier League has been this golden chalice which they've come so close to on a number of occasions.
Oh, Gerrard has slipped! Catastrophe for the Liverpool skipper!
That hit more as a Liverpool fan because who it was Gerrard.
The guy who would run through a brick wall for the team. Last season, we did everything that we possibly could have done.
Liverpool are the best runners-up in history.
We was that close to win the league, you know what I mean?
The most heroic of failures.
There's a whole generation of people in this city who've not seen Liverpool win the Premier League.
30 years.
As soon as Jürgen come in, we were like, yeah, it's going to happen for us, mate.
So let's see it then, Jürgen. Full throttle, emotional football.
He's a reincarnation of the great Bill Shankly.
I think personally he could be talked about as one of the greatest managers ever.
Oh, brilliant! It's a beautiful, beautiful Liverpool goal.
They believe it's their rightful place to be the most successful football club in England.
That is a sign of would-be champions.
This team is special.
Come on, Liverpool!
This is why they are looking like champions.
The whole city is just a buzz permanently. It's fantastic.
And now you've got to believe them.
It's just amazing. It's like a dream come true.
I'm Jenny getting goosebumps thinking about it now, like.
It's pretty damn good to watch.
There surely is no stopping them now.
It's just a great time. It's a great time to be a Liverpool fan.
When that whistle's blown, I know that's it, you're Premier League champions. Yeah, it's going to be... If Liverpool becomes the centre of the universe.
Of what happens next. I mean, you've played several generations of players there, several versions of squad that went on to be successful. Football's different now. We're probably not going to see that again, but there is still a bit of time left on Jürgen Klopp's contract. There's still quite a bit of time left on most of the players' contracts. So what can this team go on to achieve? And are we being too greedy by the day after they win the Premier League title, asking what more can they do?
Well, that's a sign of a great team. And, you know, as much they've achieved great things, are they a great team? This is the question people are going to ask. The only way you have a great team is when you keep producing title after title after title. And this is how Ferguson thought, you know, that's how the players thought. As soon as it was done, we've got to do it again next year. And Rushy touched on it before, you know, to be a great team. And having that mentality to come back and do the same things that you did last year, but even more. Because teams are going to be after you. Teams are going to look at you in a different light now you're Premier League champions. We know how hard it is to defend, you know, the Premier League title. And the reason why, because can you keep the best players at the club? You know, when you look at, you know, the Manes and the Salahs, the Firminos and Van Dijks, we've seen it with Coutinho. The big clubs are going to come calling eventually. Even the Klopps, right, he touched on it before during the break, even the Klopps, you know, how long can they keep this manager and his staff and these great players together? Because the longer they keep them, the more they're going to keep winning trophies year in and year out.
Oh, well, I wonder if the sort of counter-argument to that would be that they work so well collectively that there isn't really, when we asked, it was Harry Kuehl we were talking to earlier, and said who's been the star player of this team, there isn't one. It's such a collective. It's very difficult to say, even of the front three, which of them, you pick a favourite. It's like,
Mane's my favourite.
Yeah.
I know that everybody...
I didn't mean literally pick a favourite, but okay.
But yes, Jordan Henderson had a great season. But Mane's my favourite. But I hear what Incy's saying in respects of now people are going to see the capability of that team, and it's going to be now up to Jurgen Klopp to convince them to want to be the kind of team like we saw with Ferguson, what Ferguson done with that team, what Arsene Wenger done with that invincible team, to bring them to a level. And this team has already achieved a lot more, especially the Arsenal team. But it's how hungry they are to go again, and how hungry the manager is to continue to push them, and how much they want to be pushed and what they want to achieve. Because when you look at that team, especially the first 11 on paper, with that kind of mentality and that manager and that backing from upstairs with everything that's going on, it literally is the sky's the limit for the football club and that team, if you can keep them together.
I'll have to say Henderson's my favourite. Henderson. I just think it's like, we always talk about the top three, you always talk about Van Dijk and that, but he's the one, you know, I think, what, 10, 12 million pounds from Sunderland. You know, I remember speaking to Bruce, you know,
20 million.
Was it 10, 12? 20
million, yeah.
Sunderland, and Bruce just couldn't believe that amount of money. But I remember 2 years ago when he was playing under Klopp and he got brought off against Southampton, I think it was, and it looked like there was a problem in the relationship between the two of them. And we were kind of guessing, does Klopp fancy him? Does he really like him? But the way he's come back from that, and he does all the dirty work. You know, Klopp's improved him. We've seen how he spends more time down the right-hand side, putting balls into the boxes, assisting. He needs to get more goals as well. He touched on midfield players getting more goals. He can do that. So he's changed the way Henderson plays. But the most important thing, we talk about lack of leaders in the game. And he, for me, you see the way he's barking orders at his players. They respect him. You know, he has to carry the manager's message onto the pitch. And I just think it's not just about the dribbling, scoring in the top-hand corner. It's what you give the team that, you know, people don't really recognise. And living in Liverpool, and I hear a lot of fans say, Henderson, no good, rubbish, X, Y and Z. That has changed in the last 7 or 8 months. And they actually appreciate what he gives to Liverpool.
Yeah, maybe one of those players that other players see the qualities in him before it sort of filters through to supporters.
Exactly.
He had a conversation with Jurgen Klopp, didn't he, Jordan Henderson, about maybe changing his role and getting forward more at one stage?
Jordan Henderson has always, from the time he's been at Liverpool, sacrificed himself for the team. So when Jurgen Klopp needed a number 6, Jordan Henderson learned how to play number 6, had never played the position before, but did it. When Liverpool have needed a right back in games, he's been the right back. If Liverpool needed protection first in a game, he's done the protection first. If Jurgen Klopp's needed him to be third man running, he's been third man running. That is Jordan Henderson in a nutshell. Every single person at Melwood, not just the players, will tell you Liverpool don't get the success they get as a team without him. And there's a moment of the season that sticks with me. Liverpool win at Tottenham. It's a horrible game, ugly game, but they get over the line, and he's walking off and he's taking his shirt off and he's like, that's unacceptable, that's unacceptable. They've won, they've kept their winning run and everything, but that performance was not a Liverpool performance, and he let everyone know it. The other night against Everton, you know, first game back, behind closed doors, not really going well. Trent does not put a corner where the team wants the corner to go. And Henderson absolutely lays into him because there's a standard, and Liverpool don't want to ever drop below that standard. And we're sitting here and we're wondering, are they going to ease off? I know that squad of players. There is no easing off. They want to be the very best. They want to push themselves. And I think it's natural as humans that, okay, the big thing is gone. You've got that. You've got it secured. So there's a release in you. So maybe they won't have as much pressure or they won't feel expectation. But they have the desire themselves. They don't need to be pushed by Jurgen or anything like that. to give the very best of themselves, to reward the fans. And I really do see them going for absolutely everything possible, while also infusing the likes of Harvey Elliott and stuff into the setup.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as we draw to a close this season. Now, to put this into some historical context, we are joined now by the curator of the Liverpool Museum. It's Stephen Dunn. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. Just before we go into the history of the club a little bit more, what's your history? How long have you been at the club for?
Well, I joined the club in September 1997, so, 22 years, nearly 23 now. So haven't quite been there since the last time we won the league, but I've seen a fair few changes over the years.
And winning it in these circumstances after 30 years, when the last time Liverpool won it, it was almost a matter of routine. It's such a different experience.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, it's impossible for most of us who were either there or watched in May 1990 to think that it would really take this long. I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it? I suppose you could say perhaps we got a little bit used to it, but in the intervening 30 years, we've got used to the idea that maybe it's quite difficult to get back there again. But how fantastic it is that we've done it.
Yeah, we've heard from a couple of people who are saying that there were times when they feared that it might not happen. It might not happen again for Liverpool. Where does this put Liverpool in terms of British clubs and success and overall trophies?
Well, I mean, Liverpool, even before the Premier League, were one of the greatest clubs in English history, if not arguably the greatest. There is another team who can perhaps challenge that, and City are trying their best also. But the thing about Liverpool is, I mean, they've now got 19 titles, and that's a number that I'm going to have to try and get used to using, 19. But it's not just our fabulous league record. Liverpool, of course, are famous for their extraordinary European exploits, which really lift us into the league of the really great clubs of the world, actually, not just of England. And in fact, I was only reflecting last night, at this very moment in time, we are actually the holders of the Champions League, the Super Cup, the World Club Champions Cup, and the Premier League. And that is really quite something. I know to a certain extent that's an accident of this huge delay through COVID and the Champions League, but hey, that's really quite something. And so if you want to know where it puts Liverpool right now, you only really have to list those 4 titles that Jurgen and this amazing team have got. You can't actually get any better than that.
And Stephen, have you thought about how you're going to reflect this title win in the museum?
Yeah, we thought about it. Now, anyone who knows the football club and the people who work there, we are...
Come back.
I think that... Oh, Stephen, we just lost you. We just lost you for a second. Just tell us again.
Oh, sorry, I do apologize. Yeah, we're a little bit superstitious within the club, and we try not to preempt things too much. Yes, there is some planning, and what I can say is, obviously we've got issues to do with COVID and social distancing and so on. So just be patient, everybody. We've waited 30 years, and when the time is right, and when we can do it safely and easily, we will be announcing in the future how we can get people in to see this trophy. We're going to have it all season. We've waited quite a long time, and our chief executives told everybody this morning, when the time is right, we will all be celebrating and we'll be letting people see the trophy. But just for now, patience, everybody, and give us time to get things, organised safely and appropriately.
Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. Lovely to talk to you. And echoing their words, I think it was Andy Robertson was asked, but what about putting this title on hold for the 13 weeks? How difficult was it? And he went, it was a bit tricky, but the fans have waited for 30 years, so I think we can wait for a couple of months. Paul was making the point earlier about whether or not we can judge if this is a great team. First of all, what do we judge this team on in terms of this season's performances? As a one-off season, where do you think this team stands?
It's one of the best performances I've seen in the Premier League. From back to front, I think everybody's performed exemplary. And as a team, to be like Jurgen said earlier on, to be 20 points, no other league, whether it's Barcelona, Real Madrid or Juventus, whatever them team, Bayern Munich, to be 20 points clear of your of an opponent with the caliber of Manchester City is phenomenal. So you put this team up against any team in the Premier League, and it's gonna more than hold its own.
And in terms of being a great side, they were very close last season and won the European Cup. This season, they've dominated. And how much more do we need from them to be able to say this is a great Premier League side?
Well, probably just have to do it again. It's just consistency and continue doing the great stuff. I just wish it was Arsenal.
Paul, what do you think? What more do we need from this Liverpool side to be able to say they are one of the great Premier League teams?
Oh, listen, if you looked at a great team, you know, what they've achieved is great achievements. And like you said, you've got to go and win it year after year. They're great teams. I think, you know, you've got a great manager. You know, you've got some great players. Alex Ferguson was a great manager because what he did, after 2 or 3 years, he'd make a transitional and they start saying, right, you're going out the team, you're going out the team, we're bringing 1 or 2 other people in. But, you know, you can't take anything away from Liverpool. You really can't. The record, the trophies that they've won has been phenomenal. All I know, Klopp will be thinking in a week's time saying, right, I've got to do this again next season. And then people will be talking about the great Liverpool teams in the 21st century, and it'll be this team.
And while we're reflecting on this title win, they will. They'll be, as you said earlier, Melissa, they'll be looking forward.
Definitely. Planning for next season will have started already in January. That's how they work. They always see things so far in advance and put stuff in motion, whether that be transfers, you know, the new training facility is up and running. There's the Anfield Road development, which is being worked on as well. So it's for Liverpool, they've always been keen to see the bigger picture. And on-pitch progression is very, very important, but what helps the on-pitch progression is off-the-pitch progression as well. So, you know, enhancing facilities and all that stuff, enhancing match day revenue, getting more fans in will be beneficial.
Melissa, Paul, thank you very much for joining us.
I will say one thing though, Kel, the biggest number that matters, right?
You won't have time.
United won 20, Liverpool won 19. Liverpool want to get to 20. That's the only record they want.
And they may well do that. We've been talking about that. Righty and I are back next week. For now, though, Liverpool celebrating the title, and this one means more.